Picture this. A man sits on a sidewalk, his weathered cardboard sign reading, "Anything helps. God bless." He's been invisible to most for months. But today, something extraordinary is about to happen. As he asks a passerby for $1, he has no idea that this simple interaction will change his life. It's the beginning of a movement that will spread across social media, transforming how we perceive those living on the streets. The bustling streets of Cleveland pulsed with energy as Leonard sat on the cold concrete, his weathered cardboard sign propped against his knees. At 47, he'd never imagined ending up here after a series of misfortunes, a layoff, a health crisis, and mounting medical bills that depleted his savings. As Leonard contemplated his next move, a commotion erupted nearby. Heads turned, and excited whispers filled the air. Through the crowd, Leonard caught a glimpse of an unmistakable figure, Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer superstar, walking down the street. Leonard's heart raced, his palms sweating as desperation won out over pride. As Ronaldo approached, Leonard mustered his courage and spoke up, his voice barely audible above the city noise. "Excuse me, sir. Could you spare $1?" Time seemed to slow as Ronaldo paused, his gaze falling on Leonard. The soccer icon's expression was unreadable. But then something unexpected happened. Ronaldo crouched down, meeting Leonard at eye level. "What's your name?" Ronaldo asked, his voice gentle and curious. Leonard, taken aback, stammered out his response. Ronaldo nodded, encouraging Leonard to share more. "How did you end up here?" As Leonard recounted his story, he felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. For the first time in months, someone was truly listening to him. Ronaldo's eyes remained fixed on Leonard, absorbing every word with genuine interest. When Leonard finished speaking, Ronaldo reached into his pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 note, pressing it into Leonard's hand. "This is a start," Ronaldo said, "but there's more we need to talk about." Leonard stared at the money in disbelief, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. As he looked up to thank Ronaldo, he realized this encounter was far from over. The soccer star's eyes held a determination that hinted at something deeper than a simple act of charity. This moment would be the catalyst for a chain of events that would reshape not just Leonard's life, but the lives of countless others. Ronaldo's eyes sparked with an intensity that made Leonard shift uncomfortably. The soccer star leaned in closer, his next words about to reshape Leonard's understanding of charity and himself. Leonard felt exposed under Ronaldo's steady gaze. The attention was overwhelming after months of being invisible to passers-by. He glanced around nervously, aware of the growing interest from onlookers. "Listen, Leonard," Ronaldo said, his voice low and steady. "This money is a start, but I want to challenge you." He paused, ensuring he had Leonard's full attention. "If I help you today, you must commit to helping yourself tomorrow. Are you prepared for that?" The weight of Ronaldo's words hung in the air. Leonard felt a surge of emotions: hope, fear, and a flicker of possibility. But years of disappointment and skepticism fought against this unexpected opportunity. Ronaldo reached into his pocket again, pulling out a small card. "This is the address of Hope Outreach Resource Center. They offer job training, counseling, health checkups, essential resources for getting back on your feet." He pressed the card into Leonard's hand, alongside the $100 bill. "I want you to go there tomorrow. Take that first step." Leonard stared at the card, his mind racing. The shelter wasn't far. He'd passed it countless times, but never mustered the courage to enter. Now, with Ronaldo's challenge echoing in his ears, Leonard felt a sense of accountability he couldn't ignore. The internal conflict raged within him. Hope whispered of a better future, of regaining the life he'd lost, but the harsh lessons of the streets warned him not to trust. reminding him of every broken promise and dashed dream. Leonard looked up at Ronaldo, searching for any sign of insincerity, but found only genuine concern. Taking a deep breath, Leonard made his decision. "Okay," he said, his voice stronger than he expected. "I'll go, I promise." The words felt foreign on his tongue, but as he spoke them, a small spark of determination ignited within him. Ronaldo smiled, clasping Leonard's shoulder. "That's all I ask. Remember, this is about your future, starting tomorrow." As he stood, the crowd's murmurs mixed curiosity and admiration. Leonard watched as Ronaldo addressed the onlookers, his words carrying across the street. "We all have the power to make a difference," the soccer star said. "Sometimes it starts with a simple conversation and a willingness to see the person behind the circumstances." As Ronaldo prepared to leave, Leonard clutched the card and the money, feeling the weight of promise and potential in his hands. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to imagine a different future, one where he wasn't defined by his current situation, but by his ability to overcome it. The video of Ronaldo's encounter with Leonard spread rapidly across social media platforms. Within hours, millions had watched the brief clip of the soccer star kneeling beside the homeless man, offering money and encouragement. Public reaction was divided. Many praised Ronaldo's compassion, while others questioned his motives. As the video gained traction, its impact rippled outward. The Hope Outreach Resource Center found itself inundated with donations and volunteer offers. The shelter's director, both overwhelmed and grateful, worked to channel this sudden influx of support into sustainable programs. For Leonard, the realization of his newfound fame came as a shock. A shelter staff member showed him the viral video on a tablet, and Leonard watched in disbelief as his private moment of vulnerability played out on screen. He grappled with a complex mix of emotions: embarrassment, gratitude, and anxiety about what this visibility might mean for his future. The story sparked a national conversation about compassion, privilege, and human connection. As debates raged and support flowed, one question lingered: could this viral moment of kindness translate into lasting change for Leonard and others like him? Ronaldo, for his part, remained silent on the matter, refusing to comment on what he clearly viewed as a private interaction. His reticence only fueled further speculation and discussion about the nature of genuine charity in the age of social media. What had begun as a simple request for $1 had evolved into something far greater, challenging society to examine its attitudes towards homelessness and the power of individual acts of kindness. As the world watched and waited, the true impact of this chance encounter remained to be seen. Leonard's arrival at Hope Outreach Resource Center marked the beginning of a challenging journey. As he pushed open the door, the weight of Ronaldo's challenge and the expectations of millions who had watched the viral video pressed down on him. Inside, Leonard underwent a series of assessments. A health checkup revealed minor issues, while counseling sessions allowed him to hesitantly open up about his struggles with job loss and homelessness. Each conversation chipped away at the walls he'd built around himself. The job training program proved to be Leonard's most significant hurdle. Years on the streets had eroded his confidence, and he initially struggled with basic computer tasks. Frustration threatened to overwhelm him. But his instructor, Carlos, offered reassurance and support. As days passed, Leonard's presence at the shelter didn't go unnoticed. While some residents recognized him from the video, Leonard focused on his personal growth rather than the attention. The pressure of newfound visibility weighed on him, and there were moments when the urge to return to the familiar struggles of the street was almost overwhelming. Yet with each small victory, mastering a new skill, opening up in group therapy, helping another resident, Leonard felt a growing sense of purpose. The shelter transformed into a symbol of second chances, not just for him, but for everyone there. As Leonard completed his first week of job training, a sense of accomplishment washed over him. He looked around at the other residents, each on their own journey of recovery and renewal. For the first time in years, Leonard allowed himself to feel something he'd almost forgotten. Hope had found its way back into Leonard's life, but his story was just the beginning. Across the country, millions were asking themselves a profound question. Could a single act of kindness spark a widespread movement? The answer would unfold in ways no one anticipated. As Ronaldo's encounter with Leonard continued to circulate online, a new trend emerged on social media platforms. Inspired by the soccer star's generosity, people began sharing their own stories of helping others, tagging them with desired kindness challenge. What started as a trickle soon became a flood of positivity washing over the internet. The challenge took on diverse forms. A teenager in Seattle organized a clothing drive for a local shelter. A businesswoman in Chicago established a mentorship program for at-risk youth. A retired teacher in Florida initiated a community garden to address food insecurity. Each act, unique in its approach, was documented and shared, creating a ripple effect of compassion. Local organizations reported a surge in support. Donations poured in, and volunteers stepped forward in unprecedented numbers. Ronaldo's gesture had demonstrated that anyone could make a meaningful difference in their community. As the movement gained momentum, it faced scrutiny. Critics questioned the long-term effectiveness of viral philanthropy and whether these acts were genuinely compassionate or performative. The debate highlighted the complexities of addressing social issues through social media-driven initiatives. Despite the skepticism, stories of real impact began to emerge. In Detroit, a homeless veteran named James found stable housing and employment after a local businesswoman shared his story online. In Atlanta, a single mother and her children moved into permanent housing thanks to a comprehensive support program initiated by a Kindness Challenge participant. The movement evolved, emphasizing sustained support over one-time acts. Participants shared resources on effective volunteering, strategic donation, and advocacy for systemic changes. The challenge transformed from individual acts into a catalyst for lasting community change. The ripple effect reached beyond individuals. Local governments and businesses, inspired by the grassroots movement, initiated new programs aimed at addressing homelessness. In San Francisco, a tech company partnered with a shelter to provide comprehensive job training and placement services. In Boston, the city council approved funding for a pilot program combining affordable housing with mental health support. What had begun as a simple interaction on a Cleveland street corner had transformed into a nationwide conversation about compassion, community responsibility, and the power of collective action. As Leonard continued his journey at the shelter, he remained unaware of the full extent of the movement he had inadvertently helped spark. But across the country, countless lives were being touched by a wave of kindness that showed no signs of slowing down. Leonard's brother Paul stared at his phone, his heart pounding as he watched the viral video for the 5th time. There, on the screen, was his long-lost brother, looking worn and weathered, but undeniably alive. A storm of emotion swept through him as he drove to the shelter, memories of their last heated argument flooding back. The Hope Outreach Resource Center loomed before him, a symbol of second chances. Paul sat in his car for several minutes, gathering courage. What if Leonard refused to see him? What if the damage was beyond repair? Taking a deep breath, Paul entered the shelter. The receptionist's eyes widened with recognition as he explained who he was looking for. Moments later, Leonard appeared in the hallway, his expression a mix of shock and uncertainty. The brothers stood facing each other, the weight of unspoken years hanging between them. Paul broke the silence first, his voice cracking. Leonard, I'm so sorry. Leonard's stoic expression wavered, revealing a glimpse of the pain he'd carried for so long. Slowly, they began to talk. The conversation was awkward at first, filled with long pauses and careful words. But as the initial tension eased, the floodgates opened. They spoke of their shared childhood, the misunderstandings that drove them apart, and the regrets that had haunted them both. Leonard shared the struggles that led him to homelessness, his voice breaking as he described the depths of his despair. Paul listened, his heart aching with each revelation. He realized how little he truly understood about the challenges his brother had faced. As hours passed, something shifted between them. The wall of resentment began to crumble, replaced by a tentative bridge of understanding. Paul offered his support in concrete ways: help with job applications, a place to stay once Leonard completed the shelter's program, and a promise to be there no matter what. For Leonard, this unexpected reunion became a crucial part of his journey towards recovery. The support of family, something he'd long since given up on, gave him renewed strength to face the challenges ahead. As the brothers parted that day, they made a pact to rebuild their relationship, one conversation at a time. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years, they both felt a glimmer of hope for a shared future. Months after Ronaldo's unexpected act of kindness, Cleveland pulsed with a newfound energy. Inside the Hope Outreach Resource Center, Leonard stood at the front desk, his posture straight and his eyes clear. He greeted a new arrival with a warm smile, embodying the transformation that had taken place within these walls. Leonard's journey from the sidewalk to stability hadn't been easy. There were days when the weight of expectation nearly crushed him, moments when the allure of his old life threatened to pull him back. But with each small victory, mastering a new skill, helping a fellow resident, or simply making it through another day, his resolve strengthened. The initial viral movement had evolved into sustained community initiatives. Local businesses partnered with the shelter to provide job training and employment opportunities. Volunteers formed lasting bonds with the residents they served, returning week after week, long after the cameras had stopped rolling. As public attention waned, maintaining momentum proved challenging. Donations slowed, and the shelter staff worked tirelessly to keep the spirit of compassion alive. They reminded supporters that change was a marathon, not a sprint. Behind the scenes, Ronaldo remained involved, shunning the spotlight. He quietly funded programs and used his influence to keep the issue of homelessness in the public eye. His continued commitment inspired others to view their support as a long-term investment in their community. The ripple effect reached far beyond the shelter's walls. Local policymakers began to re-examine their approach to homelessness. Task forces were formed, funding was reallocated, and new initiatives were launched to address the root causes of housing insecurity. For Leonard, the ultimate payoff came on a crisp autumn morning. He stood outside a modest apartment building, key in hand, ready to cross the threshold into his new home. Secure employment as a peer counselor at the shelter had made this moment possible. As he turned the key, he thought of all the hands that had helped lift him up, from Ronaldo's initial gesture to the unwavering support of the shelter staff and his reconnected family. The transformation sparked by a simple request for $1 had touched countless lives, served as a powerful reminder that compassion, when nurtured and sustained, could reshape not just individual destinies, but entire communities. Leonard's story had become a testament to the enduring power of kindness and the potential for change that lies within us all. As the sun set on Cleveland, the impact of Leonard's encounter with Ronaldo continued to spread. A simple request for $1 had grown into a movement touching countless lives, transforming not just Leonard's circumstances, but the hearts of people across the nation. This story reminds us of the power of small actions. A conversation on a street corner sparked debates in city halls, inspired new policies, and rekindled compassion in communities. It highlighted the importance of seeing the humanity in every person, regardless of their circumstances. The challenge now lies with each of us. What act of kindness could you perform today? How might your words or actions create a positive ripple in someone's life? Change doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it starts with a simple hello or a moment of genuine connection. As Leonard's story fades from the headlines, its lesson remains. We all have the power to make a difference. The question is, how will you use yours?